My name is Madison Blake, and I never thought I'd say this out loud. I own the building I once cried outside of. It's funny, isn't it? How life twists itself into stories we'd never dare to imagine. Right now, I'm sitting behind a mahogany desk on the top floor, the city of Chicago stretching out beneath me. The glass windows gleam, the skyline burns gold with a late afternoon sun, and the leather chair under me feels almost too luxurious for the girl I used to be. I adjust the sleeve of my silk blouse, smooth as water against my skin, and take a slow sip of coffee that's long gone lukewarm. My phone buzzes on the desk. The name flashing on the screen freezes me. Ethan Miller. My cousin. The same cousin who once tossed my duffel bag into the hallway and slammed the door behind him. The cousin who claimed my room as his own, while I was left standing with nowhere to go, burning with humiliation. Now, years later, he's calling me. I can't help but smirk, a quiet, ironic laugh slipping past my lips. Of course, I whisper to myself, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. Of course it would be him. The building hums around me, the faint buzz of fluorescent lights, the muffled voices of my staff down the hall, the steady thump of my heartbeat in my ears. For a moment, I let myself feel it, the sting of memory, the pride of survival, and the irony of fate. Because once I didn't even have a room. And now, I own the whole damn building. I wasn't always this woman with tailored suits and an office that smelled faintly of jasmine candles and fresh paper. Once upon a time, I was just a 17-year-old girl with a hand-me-down suitcase and too many dreams stuffed inside it. The night everything changed, I can still see it like a film reel that won't stop playing. My parents had decided, without even asking me, that my cousin Ethan would be moving in. He was a year older and, according to them, he needed stability more than I did. Stability? As if I didn't? I came home from my after-school shift at the diner, smelling faintly of French fries and dish soap, only to find my bedroom door wide open. The posters I'd taped on the walls were gone. My quilt, the one I'd saved from babysitting gigs, was crumpled in a pile by the hallway. And there was Ethan, sitting on my bed like it had always been his. A smug grin on his face, headphones draped around his neck. "This room's mine now," he said casually, as if announcing the weather. I remember my throat tightening, my hands trembling as I clutched the strap of my bag. "What do you mean your room? This is my space." He just shrugged. "Aunt Kelly said I could have it. You'll figure something out." And just like that, my life was shoved into a cardboard box and rolled into the corner of the living room. That night, I lay curled up on the scratchy couch cushions, staring at the ceiling fan as it creaked with every slow rotation. My chest ached, but I refused to let the tears spill. It wasn't just the room. It was what it meant, that I was invisible in my own home. Replaceable. Unwanted. That's when I felt a light touch on my shoulder. My grandmother, Eleanor Blake, had always been the quiet strength in our chaotic family. She pressed something into my palm, a small silver key strung onto a chain. It wasn't for a real lock, she explained, but a symbol. "Madison," she whispered, her eyes soft and wise. "Don't wait for doors to open for you. Build your own. This key is to remind you you can always create your own space." I clutched the key so tightly my knuckles turned white. And in that moment, through the sting of rejection, I made myself a silent promise. I would never beg for space again. I would carve my own. And one day, I'd make them all see. Leaving home wasn't dramatic. No slammed doors, no shouted goodbyes. Just me, my grandmother's silver key hanging from a chain around my neck, and a duffel bag heavier with disappointment than clothes. I rented a studio on the south side of Chicago, if you could even call it that. It was a shoebox with peeling paint, a leaky faucet, and windows that rattled every time the L train screeched past. But it was mine. My space. My door. My lock. I worked 2 jobs. Mornings at a cafe where the espresso machine hissed like it held grudges, and evenings cleaning offices where my reflection in the glass walls reminded me what exhaustion looked like. Still, every night, after my shift, I'd sit cross-legged on the hardwood floor with my beat-up laptop, trying to teach myself everything I could about real estate and business. It felt impossible at times. I remember staring at spreadsheets, the numbers swimming until I had to blink back tears. Once, when I was so tired I spilled coffee all over the keyboard, I almost gave up. But then my fingers brushed the little silver key at my neck. Build your own doors, my grandmother's voice echoed in my head. That mantra carried me. Eventually, I caught the attention of someone who believed in me, Diana Cooper, a seasoned real estate broker who'd stopped by the cafe one morning. She noticed how I handled a difficult customer with calm professionalism, and later, when she overheard me scribbling figures into a notebook during my break, she asked, "You interested in real estate?" That single question changed everything. Diana became more than a mentor. She became proof that women could stand tall in industries where men liked to slam the door shut. She let me shadow her, taught me how to read contracts, how to walk into negotiations without apologizing for my presence. The first time I closed a deal, a tiny 2-bedroom rental property, I cried in the stairwell after signing the paperwork. Not because it was glamorous, it wasn't, but because it meant I'd built a door and walked through it. From there, it was step by step. Sacrifices. I skipped nights out with friends, ignored family gatherings, and sometimes lived off instant noodles just to keep investing. Each property, each client, each late-night study session was a brick in the foundation I was building. I never bragged to my family. Whenever my mother called, I kept my answers vague. "Oh, I'm fine. Just busy." When Ethan posted pictures from his college parties, surrounded by friends, beer bottles in hand, I scrolled past quietly. He thought he had everything. He had no idea that while he was busy celebrating, I was building an empire. Years blurred together, and with them came milestones. My first office, my first employee, my first $1 million deal. But even as my life grew bigger, I kept that little silver key close. It reminded me where I came from. It reminded me why I started. I didn't just want success. I wanted proof that the girl without a room could rise so high, she'd own the building everyone else just rented from. The call from Ethan wasn't just casual, it was desperate. His voice trembled through the speaker, stripped of the arrogance I remembered. "Hey, Mads," he began like we were still kids sharing secrets instead of scars. "Listen, I heard you've got some kind of company now. I was wondering if maybe you could help me out? I'm in a bit of a situation." A situation. The irony nearly made me laugh. Years ago, I had been the situation no one wanted to deal with. Now, suddenly, he was the one without space. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I invited him and the rest of the family to meet me at my office the following week. I could almost hear his confusion on the other end of the line. When they arrived, I made sure everything was perfect. The reception area gleamed with marble floors and abstract art that whispered elegance. My staff moved efficiently, their heels clicking across the polished surface. The scent of fresh lilies filled the air. I waited in my office, a corner suite on the top floor. The walls were lined with bookshelves, framed photos from milestones, and a single glass case where my grandmother's silver key hung, displayed like a relic. When the door opened, my mother walked in first, her eyes darting around nervously. My father followed, stoic but tense. And then came Ethan, older now, but still carrying the same restless energy. His confidence faltered when his gaze swept across the room. "Wow," he muttered, almost under his breath. This is yours." I leaned back in my chair, folding my hands neatly on the desk. Every inch of it. Silence stretched between us. I let it. I wanted them to sit with the weight of it all, the office, the staff outside, the skyline glittering just beyond the windows. Ethan shifted, his voice small. "I didn't know you. I thought you were just waitressing or something." "That's the thing," I said evenly. "You never asked. None of you did." My mother's lips pressed into a thin line. My father cleared his throat, but said nothing. The shame in their eyes was louder than words. Ethan tried to recover. "Look, I get it. I was a jerk back then. But things are rough for me now. I need a place to stay, maybe a job. Just until I get back on my feet." I studied him. The boy who had once shoved my life into a cardboard box was now standing in my office, asking for space. Funny, I said softly, a wry smile tugging at my lips. You took my room, Ethan. Do you remember that? He swallowed hard, his jaw tightening. Yeah, I remember. Well, I continued, rising from my chair, my heels clicking against the floor as I walked toward the window. The difference now is this. Back then, you had the power. But today, I turned, meeting his eyes with steady confidence. Today, I own the building. Gasps filled the room. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father's eyes widened in disbelief. Ethan just stared, blinking rapidly, as though the words couldn't possibly be real. You own this, he stammered. I nodded. Not just this office. The entire building. Every floor. Every lease. Every lock and key. Mine. The silence that followed was thick with shock. I let it stretch, let the truth settle deep into their bones. Ethan's face flushed with a cocktail of guilt and humiliation. My parents shifted uncomfortably, unable to meet my eyes. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one standing outside the door. I was the one holding the keys. Ethan's voice cracked first. So, what now? Are you just gonna let me sink? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I walked back to my desk, the silver key in its glass case catching the light. For a second, I remembered the girl curled up on that scratchy couch, invisible in her own home. That girl wanted revenge. But the woman I'd become, she wanted something deeper. I'm not here to humiliate you, I said finally, my tone calm but steady. But I won't let you drag me back into the past either. If you want my help, you'll accept my conditions. My parents exchanged quick, uneasy glances. Ethan shifted in his chair like a boy caught cheating on a test. What kind of conditions? He asked warily. I leaned forward, my palms flat on the desk. First, no more excuses. You stop blaming everyone else for your problems. If you want space here, you'll pay rent. On time. Just like every other tenant in this building. His mouth opened in protest, but I cut him off with a raised hand. Second, you get a job. A real one. Not half-hearted gigs that you quit after 2 weeks. I'll connect you with opportunities, but you'll have to show up. Every day. No exceptions. I could see his pride warring with desperation. His lips pressed together, but he didn't argue. Not this time. And third, I added, my gaze sweeping to my parents, you all need to start respecting boundaries. Mine included. No more dismissing me, no more treating me like I don't matter. If I open a door for you, it comes with respect on both sides. The silence in the room was heavy. My mother's eyes glistened, her voice small. Maddie, we didn't realize how much we hurt you. I gave her a faint smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. You didn't want to realize. But it doesn't matter now. What matters is what you do next. Ethan finally spoke, his tone subdued. And if I can't follow your rules, I leaned back, letting the weight of my authority fill the space. Then you'll find another couch, another building, but it won't be mine. His shoulders slumped. For once, he didn't argue. I softened, just slightly. Ethan, I don't hate you. I never did. But you need to understand, entitlement isn't the same as love. Taking from people doesn't make you strong. Building something yourself does. The words hung in the air, sharp yet compassionate. For the first time, I saw Ethan's bravado crack, not into arrogance, but into reflection. My parents sat quietly, shame written across their faces. And in that moment, the balance shifted completely. I wasn't the girl begging for room anymore. I was the woman who owned every door, every key, every choice. Weeks passed after that confrontation, and slowly, I began to see the ripple of change. Ethan showed up at the leasing office downstairs with a signed rental agreement, my rental agreement. He moved into one of the smaller units on the second floor. The same cousin who once took my room now slid monthly checks across the counter to my staff. Each payment was proof. He wasn't entitled anymore. He was accountable. And he did find a job. Not glamorous, not impressive, but steady. For the first time in his life, he wasn't leaning on excuses. I'd catch glimpses of him in the lobby sometimes, his tie slightly crooked, exhaustion etched on his face, but also Something else. Determination. My parents began to soften, too. My mother called more often, her words less sharp, her voice gentler. My father, who once stayed silent, told me one evening, "I'm proud of you, Maddie." It was late, almost too late, but I let the words in anyway. One quiet Sunday morning, I walked through the building's lobby before tenants stirred. My heels clicked against the marble, and sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows. I paused at the display case in my office where my grandmother's silver key hung. I touched the glass softly, whispering, "I built my own doors, Grandma. Just like you said." A warmth spread through me, not the fire of revenge, but the glow of peace. The pain I carried for years didn't vanish, but it transformed into strength, into grace, into a reminder that no one can take away the space you create for yourself. I glanced out the window at the city pulsing with life, a city that once felt too big, too cruel. Now it was mine to navigate, mine to claim. The girl who once had no room had grown into the woman who owned the building. And that's not just a twist of fate, it's a testament. Because when they tried to shut me out, they forgot one thing. I wasn't waiting for their doors. I was building my own.